In a futuristic world where genetic manipulation is widespread, parents can now alter their children's DNA, resulting in a generation of highly intelligent and disease-resistant individuals who occupy the coveted first-class status and are called valid individuals. But there are still some parents who choose to have their children born naturally, without genetic modifications, relegating them to second-class status due to the presence of various diseases, and are called invalid individuals. Hello, welcome back to I Am Movies. Today, we're diving into the 2003 sci-fi movie known as Gattaca. But before we jump into the details, make sure to show us some love by liking the video and subscribing to the channel. Now, let's get right into it. As society segregates between the genetically enhanced and the naturally born, we follow Jerome Morrow, a mission navigator in Gattaca, as he goes through an extraordinary morning routine. Unlike ordinary individuals, Jerome meticulously shaves excess hair, undergoes thorough skin exfoliation in an incinerator, conceals a urine pack around his thigh, and even applies a fake fingertip filled with stored blood to maintain the illusion of genetic perfection. His actions highlight the extreme measures individuals take to fit into a world divided by genetic distinctions. Before heading out, Jerome makes it a routine to tidy up his desk and keyboard. One day, his director informs him of an upcoming flight to Titan, where Jerome will serve as the flight navigator. To qualify for the mission, he must undergo a series of medical tests. In a moment of subterfuge, after Director Joseph departs, Jerome discreetly places the residue of dead skin on his keyboard and strategically inserts strands of hair into his comb. He then proceeds to the clinic, where he encounters Dr. Lamar. During their conversation, Dr. Lamar mentions that his son holds Jerome in high esteem. As the medical examination progresses, Dr. Lamar requests a urine sample from Jerome. Cleverly, Jerome provides the sample from a concealed urine bag on his foot, successfully portraying himself as a valid individual, a member of the superior class. Meanwhile, at the office, Jerome's colleague Irene congratulates him on his new mission. However, upon returning to his desk, Jerome makes a chilling discovery. The office manager has been brutally murdered. Top of form. As the police arrive, they meticulously collect DNA evidence from the crime scene, unraveling the threads of a mystery. Meanwhile, Jerome's entire life unfolds before him as the past comes into sharp focus. In a poignant flashback, Antonio and Marie Freeman conceive a baby through natural means. Despite the joy of welcoming a healthy baby boy, a nurse draws blood and analyzes it through a predictive machine, foretelling a future laden with potential illnesses. The litany of possible maladies, including myopia, heart disease, and a life expectancy of merely 30 years, echoes in the room. Undeterred, Antonio names the baby Vincent Freeman, and Marie cradles the infant in her arms. It is revealed that this very baby, Vincent, is the one currently assuming the identity of Jerome in the present. Haunted by the specter of Vincent's potential health challenges, Antonio and Marie, resolute to spare another child such uncertainties, decide to conceive a second baby, opting to alter its genes and thereby shaping a different destiny. A doctor explains to Antonio and Marie Freeman that their forthcoming baby will be free from any hereditary diseases, having taken the liberty to eliminate potential predispositions to conditions like baldness, alcoholism, myopia, and obesity. Marie clarifies that their intention was solely to remove diseases, but the doctor justifies his actions, emphasizing the desire for the child to have the best possible start in life, given the inherent imperfections in humans. This leads to the birth of Vincent's brother, Anton. From an early age, the impact of gene manipulation becomes evident. Anton grows faster and stronger than Vincent, despite being younger. Vincent, acutely aware of his parents' preference for Anton, develops a subtle resentment toward his brother. As a child, Vincent nurtured a passion for outer space, aspiring to become an astronaut. However, his parents, concerned about his underlying medical conditions, try to dissuade him. Antonio, Vincent's father, bluntly informs him that the only way he would be allowed on a spaceship is if he were there to clean it. As a young man, Vincent grapples with the harsh reality of constant rejection in screenings and job applications due to his genetic makeup. The competition between the two brothers takes a turn when, in a swimming challenge, Vincent, sensing an impending change, overtakes Anton and secures victory for the first time. Vincent's triumph reveals a moment of vulnerability in Anton and challenges the perception of their strengths. Despite this achievement, Vincent feels compelled to break free from the constraints of his genetic destiny. He joins Gattaca as a janitor, harboring fantasies of being part of the workforce. Sitting at a desk, he pretends to be a navigator, yearning for a chance to pursue his dreams. Vincent dedicates himself to studying and training, fully aware that his genetic limitations may forever thwart his aspirations. Confronted with the realization that his dreams are hindered by his genes, Vincent reluctantly seeks an alternative path. He makes contact with an individual who can provide him with a fake ID, marking a pivotal moment in his quest to transcend the limitations imposed by his genetic code. In his pursuit of a new identity, Vincent enlists the help of a man skilled in creating fake IDs. This mysterious figure crafts an identity for Vincent, and the chosen persona is that of Jerome Morrow, an individual with a high IQ, exceptional eyesight, and the strength befitting a first-class citizen. Jerome, despite his superior attributes, is unable to walk due to an accident overseas, forcing him to leave his job. To secure Jerome's identity, Vincent purchases it from him, agreeing to provide monetary compensation regularly. Vincent, now assuming the role of Jerome, wears contact lenses to alter his eye color and mimic Jerome's hairstyle. Additionally, he undergoes foot surgery to copy the height of Jerome and complete the transformation. With his new identity in place, Vincent applies to join the Gattaca Space Agency. Under the guise of Jerome Morrow, he successfully passes the tests and becomes a navigating officer. Vincent's daily routine involves meticulous measures to maintain the facade, disposing of loose skin, fingernails, and hair, and providing Jerome's urine, blood, and other DNA traces for continuous testing. In this elaborate charade, Vincent navigates the challenges of Gattaca while concealing his true genetic identity. As Jerome supplies the crucial DNA, Vincent reciprocates with financial support. Snapping back to the present, Vincent moves closer to his bustling colleagues and discovers that a mission director has been brutally beaten to death. Unbeknownst to Vincent, he has inadvertently left behind one of his eyelashes. As the head investigator, Detective Hugo examines the place. He meets Director Joseph and tells him he needs one of his students to assist them with the investigation. Director Joseph then sends Irene to assist them. After that, when Vincent comes home, he tells Jerome what happened, and Jerome expresses concern that Vincent's fake identity might be exposed during the investigation, but Vincent reassures him, speculating that he'll be en route to Titan before they uncover the truth. Seeking a respite, the duo heads out to celebrate in Gattaca. Meanwhile, Irene, harboring suspicions about Vincent, searches through his desk for hair strands or dead skin to have tested. Relieved to find that the person she believes is Jerome appears valid, she lets go of her concerns. Returning home after a night out, Jerome and Vincent share a moment. Vincent puts Jerome to bed, only for Jerome to disclose that his accident was a deliberate act to end his life. Proud of Vincent, Jerome urges him to go to sleep, dismissing his emotional state as mere drunkenness. However, at a police laboratory, Vincent's invalid DNA surfaces, catching the attention of one of the primary investigator. The next day, the primary investigator and Detective Hugo return to Gattaca, identifying the owner of the misplaced eyelash as their primary suspect in the mission director's murder, intensifying the scrutiny on Vincent. Upon discovering that Vincent Freeman worked at Gattaca as a janitor, Detective Hugo raises concerns about the invalid records, suggesting that Vincent should already be deceased by that time. To thoroughly investigate, he proposes sifting through entry logs, suspecting that the killer might be employed at Gattaca. Vincent later confides in Irene, who confesses to take his hair strand for testing and apologizes. She reveals that Vincent, who is disguised as Jerome, is her competitor for going to Titan, and she knows now that her genes is no match for Vincent, since she has high risk of heart failure, preventing her from participating in space missions. Despite Irene offering a hair strand in return, he lets it drift away in the wind, expressing his full trust without the need for a test, which makes Irene smiles. Back at home, Vincent informs Jerome that the police found his eyelash at the crime scene, making him a suspect. Concerned about potential recognition, Vincent contemplates escape, but Jerome dismisses it as paranoia, assuring him that he won't be recognized as an invalid elite. Later that evening, Vincent goes on a date with Irene in Gattaca. Meanwhile, Detective Hugo instructs the police to scrutinize the trash for additional evidence. After enjoying a piano concert, Irene and Vincent drive down a highway but encounter a checkpoint where the police are inspecting eyes, specifically searching for contact lenses. The tension rises as the investigation into Vincent's true identity intensifies. Vincent cautiously removes his contact lenses, only to find himself rendered temporarily blind. Nevertheless, they successfully navigated the checkpoint without raising suspicion. Irene, sensing Vincent's discomfort, decides to reveal a surprise. Parking the car at the side of the road, she leads Vincent through a challenging gauntlet of high-speed moving vehicles. Struggling without his contact lenses, Vincent's vision is reduced to a blurry mosaic of lights and shapes. Despite the difficulty, his determination prevails, and they arrive at a solar farm. As they romantically stroll down the farm, Irene notices a difference in Vincent's eyes, but dismisses it. Meanwhile, at the crime lab, investigators obtain another confirmation of Vincent's DNA from a discarded paper cup in the trash. Suspicion arises that Vincent might be in disguise, possibly working at Gattaca. However, the head investigator deems this improbable, asserting that an invalid would lack the mental capacity and physical stamina required for employment at Gattaca. Undeterred, the cop proposes drawing blood from every Gattaca employee to better filter out the imposter, escalating the efforts to uncover Vincent's true identity. The following day, Vincent lines up for a blood test, entering a room where Lamar is set to draw his blood. Anticipating the need for deception, Vincent arrives prepared with a vial of Jerome's blood. As Lamar begins the injection, Vincent flinches, allowing Vincent to swiftly swap the vials and hand Lamar the one containing Jerome's blood. Despite the mass blood testing yielding no significant information, the investigators considered requesting another test. However, Director Joseph intervenes, refusing additional delays with the launch just 2 days away. He emphasizes the need to adhere to the schedule, unwilling to tolerate further setbacks. With no other choice, the investigators depart. Vincent and Irene seize the opportunity to go on another date, this time at a fine dining restaurant. Amid the romantic atmosphere, Vincent asks Irene to dance, and the two share an intimate moment. Vincent confides in Irene, revealing his lifelong desire to leave the planet. Ironically, with the launch imminent, he finds a reason to stay. However, their moment is abruptly interrupted as the investigators burst in, instructing everyone to stay inside. Caught off guard, Vincent quickly guides Irene outside through the back door, evading the unexpected intrusion. But security attempts to intervene, and Vincent resolutely assaults him, leading Irene away to find a hiding spot. In the alley, the primary investigator, looking more concerned than determined, shouts out loud the name Vincent. Irene, sensing the gravity of the situation, questions Vincent about his identity. While almost answering, Vincent is stopped by Irene, who urges him to remain silent. She chooses to remain ignorant. The two spend a tense night together, and Vincent wakes up in Irene's bed, worried about leaving traces of DNA. Seeking to cleanse himself, he heads to the shore and desperately scrubs it with a rock. Returning to Irene's house, she notices his surgery scars. Vincent attributes them to an accident, and Irene plays along. At the police headquarters, the primary investigator examines a photo of Jerome, cross-referencing it with a picture of Vincent. The next day, the primary investigator is at Vincent's desk, examining it for DNA. Director Joseph assures him that Vincent, referred to as Jerome, is one of their best employees and is unrelated to the murder. Irene, witnessing this, warns Vincent of the investigator's presence. The primary investigator catches up with Irene, bringing her to see Jerome at home. Meanwhile, Detective Hugo examines the murder victim, retrieving saliva from the victim's eye. As Irene and the primary investigator leave, Vincent calls Jerome, alerting him that the investigator is en route. Jerome, struggling to move, drags himself up the stairs, mustering every ounce of strength. As the doorbell rings, Jerome barely reaches the intercom, eventually making it to a chair to compose himself. As the primary investigator and Irene enter, she sees the real Jerome for the first time, utterly confused but maintaining her demeanor. Jerome and Irene act as if they've known each other, arousing suspicion in the investigator. He takes Jerome's blood for DNA analysis and heads downstairs. However, a call from the cop interrupts him, reporting that the suspect has been apprehended. Rushing back upstairs, the primary investigator leaves, and Vincent emerges behind Jerome. Irene, distraught by the revelation, feels betrayed. Vincent chases after her, admitting that he's an invalid and has exceeded his projected life expectancy. He explains that invalids transcend their predicted outcomes. Irene, bewildered, leaves with a confused and shocked look. At the precinct, Director Hugo apprehends Director Joseph. It is revealed that the victim posed a significant obstacle to the Titan flight, aiming to cancel it. With the flight occurring only once every 70 years, the stakes become even higher. The director, driven to ensure the flight stays on schedule, successfully apprehends the suspect, officially closing the case. However, the primary investigator appears unsatisfied. That night, Vincent discovers the primary investigator at his desk and confronts him. The primary investigator, revealing himself as Anton, Vincent's long-lost brother, expresses surprise that Vincent doesn't recognize him. Anton discloses that their parents died without knowing that Vincent was alive. Defensively, Vincent accuses Anton of seeking him out because he can't accept that an invalid can hold such a prestigious position. Anton expresses concern about the extent of Vincent's fraudulent activities and implores him to come clean. Vincent, raising his voice, accuses Anton of wanting to see him fail. In a bold challenge, Anton proposes another swimming contest. The brothers head to a stormy shore, strip down, and plunge into the water. They swim farther and farther from land. As Anton struggles, he asks Vincent to stop, but Vincent taunts him, continuing the challenge. Anton questions how Vincent achieves so much in life, and Vincent asserts that he never hesitated or doubted himself. As Anton attempts to swim back, he starts drowning. Vincent comes to his rescue, and they swim back to shore. Vincent seeks out Irene, who deduces that Vincent's eyesight was impaired on the night they tried to cross the street. Despite this revelation, she appreciates Vincent still crossing the street for her journey. Vincent offers Irene a strand of hair for testing, but she lets it drift away in the wind, symbolizing her trust in him. As Vincent prepares to depart, he questions Jerome about leaving so much genetic material behind. Jerome reveals that he might be embarking on his own journey, and expresses gratitude to Vincent for bringing a sense of fulfillment into his life. Vincent receives an envelope from Jerome and heads to the launch at Gattaca. As Vincent gets ready to board, Lamar informs Vincent of a new policy requiring passengers to undergo urine testing before the flight. He realizes he lacks any of Jerome's urine samples. To his surprise, Dr. Lamar, responsible for background checks, reveals that he is aware of Vincent's masquerade as valid. Lamar acknowledges that his son looks up to Vincent and ponders whether his own genetically selected son, who falls short of expectations, could surpass his potential just as Vincent has. Lamar decides to alter the test results, ensuring Vincent's passage. As the rocket takes off, we see Jerome, adorned with his swimming medal, chooses to immolate himself in his home's incinerator. As Vincent looks to the stars and on the verge of departure, he opens a note only to find a lock of Jerome's hair, which tells us that he will never see Jerome ever again. And the movie ends here. If you'd like to see us recap any other movies or topics you have in mind, just drop a comment and let us know. And don't forget to hit the like button, share this recap, and subscribe to stay updated for the next one. Until next time.